Jake here for American Muscle, and today I'm taking a look at the C&L 90mm throttle body for 2011 to 2014 Mustang GTs. More air means more power, and more power is always the goal. So if you've got a pretty heavily modified S197 GT, then upgrading your throttle body should be a no-brainer. This is an inexpensive, simple bolt-on upgrade that's going to make a perfect complement to other mods on your Mustang. However, I will say that if you have an otherwise stock car or one that is not heavily modified, you may want to hold off on doing this, as it doesn't necessarily pair well with lightly modified vehicles. Measuring in at a 90mm bore, this is a pretty substantial increase versus that stock 80mm throttle body that comes on these cars. That means this is going to bring in much more air, so it's perfect for a car that is heavily modified or one that already has forced induction. Getting that extra air is going to help improve throttle response and overall power and torque. It also does not require any additional tuning to work with your car, though in order to extract the most out of it, we would recommend a custom tune. In the kit too, you also get a new throttle body spacer and a gasket to go along with it, so you've got everything you need to get this installed on the car. The body itself is constructed entirely of CNC machined 6061 T6 billet aluminum, and it's finished in this nice flat black. You also get brand new electronics already installed, and that includes both a high torque servo motor and a non-contact Hall effect throttle position sensor. So this is going to deliver really snappy and consistent throttle response, much more so than your stock throttle body. Now, as far as pricing goes, this one's going to run you about $300, making it one of the least expensive big bore throttle bodies for this generation of Mustang. It is a good quality item, and it's going to definitely accomplish that task of getting some additional airflow, so I would call this one a big win. Installation is also easy, coming in at a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter. This is a total bolt-on type of install. Just do up a few bolts that keep the throttle body on, clip in that connector, and you're pretty much done. Should only take you about an hour to get it installed. Plus, you get brand new bolts, that new gasket, along with a throttle body sensor, and also a new connector to have you get it all done, so you don't need to even reuse anything from your stock throttle body. And now, to show you the process, let's throw it over to one of our AM customers.
Okay, these are the tools that were required to install the Graham's 90mm throttle body on my 2012 Mustang GT. So you got your 5/16 or 8mm wrench to take your battery loose, well, for your negative terminal on the battery, and then screwdriver to take your connector loose for your intake. Your intake connector is a clamp. Use that to take that loose again, or you could use an 8mm socket. And moving on to that, the 8mm socket was used to take the stock throttle body bolts loose, and as well I used this also to take the intake clamp loose, or tighten it back up. Rather, I used the screwdriver to loosen it and the 8mm to snug it back up. And the 10mm socket was used to install the bolts that were provided with the throttle body, with the 90mm Graham's throttle body, and of course a ratchet to utilize both sockets, and an extension for when I installed and removed the throttle body bolts. That way, like I said, it's easier, in my opinion, to have a little bit of distance on it, so that way, one, if you drop your socket, you know what I mean, it's attached to this, as opposed to falling down into your engine bay and getting lost or whatever. So, and then last but not least, the shop rag, which you use to clean up the gasket on your intake and clean up your intake mating surface before you put the throttle body and the spacers on it. And that's pretty much all the tools that were needed to, oh yeah, and my hand. First thing we got to do, our socket, and we're going to unhook this negative battery terminal over here. Tuck it down over here so it's out the way and doesn't fall back on while you're in the middle of your work. So Next step, we got to take this engine cover off, which is pretty easy. It's only held in by like 4 snap clips. I believe it's here, 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 and here. But all you really got to do is give it a good tug. See, there's 1, there's 2, 3, and 4 popped up with it. And basically, you snap down in these little rubber boots right there. Here's a video or shot of the little hooks. Set this off. There was no tool required with that, just your hands. Pretty easy. You may need if they're down in there real good, you may need like a pry bar or something, or a clip tool to get under there and kind of give it a little pop. But really all you need is to just give it a tug and they'll snap right loose. Next thing you're going to want to do is unhook your air intake tube. For the stock ones, it's pretty much a really similar process. You're going to want to loosen your clamp. Same on the stock setup. This is a cold air intake, so it's going to be a little different, but like I said, you're going to want to disconnect your clamp, loosen your clamp up. You're going to need to take this PCV tube loose and this vacuum line, vacuum or emissions, one of the two. But you're going to need to take both of those loose, as well as disconnect the clamp, and you're going to need to take your mass airflow sensor out. On the stock one, you'll then have to disconnect the top section of the air filter box and take the whole thing off. With this one, it's pretty easy. I'm just going to loosen this up, take that off, and take that loose, and then that's pretty much it. Use a flathead screwdriver or Phillips or an 8mm socket or wrench, whatever. I'm going to use just this flathead screwdriver. Now, something else to note is when you put this back on, you're not going to be able to use your stock air filter housing unless you have something smaller than a 90mm. This is the replacement one that I'm putting on is a 90mm, so it will not fit on the stock air filter connecting. The little rubber boot's just way too small for it. And so to take this one loose, you just push this yellow clip in and pull out. And that's loose. Tuck it out the way for now. Now, this bottom one is a little different. There's like a plastic, I don't think you're gonna even be able to see it, but there's like a little plastic tab that sticks out. You're gonna wanna push it. Is it push it or pull it? You push it down and then pull back on it. So I'll show you here. This is the locking mechanism right here. You push this tab down, this clip. For some reason it's not moving out. There we go. You push it down and then you pull out and it'll come right off. But basically this is what keeps it locked in around this little rib. Now you're gonna take the mass airflow sensor connector off. With this, you got this little red tab. It's like a safety lock. Keeps it from coming loose. Push that back. Just use a screwdriver. You can use your fingernail if you want. Screwdriver's easier. And then you push this clip in and pull out. Go way off. Down. No, never. So this little tab right here is what you push in. You push it and pull. And then that's pretty much it. Just set your air filter tube off to the side, and now you're ready to get to the throttle body itself. So to take the throttle body loose, you got a connector right here. Yep, and it's got the little red clip also. And then you got these 4 bolts right here. They're 8mm, it looks like. And that's pretty much, just take it right off. So first we'll take this clip loose, pop it out. Bring it over a little bit. So pull the red tab back like I just did, and then you, same with the mass airflow sensor, you push it in and pull it out, and it comes off. Set that off to the side. Now we can take these screws or bolts loose. Take these bolts loose, and that's it. Throttle body's off. That's going to be an 8mm You're gonna need an 8mm, a ratchet, and I would recommend some kind of extension, be it even if it's a short extension, or that way you're not so right up on this. Make sure you're going the right way. Now these screws, bolts are pretty easy to take loose. They're not real tight because your intake is plastic, and you're not going to want to put them back on real tight either. I mean, you're going to want them snug, but you don't need to crank it down. No. Just take that out. Try not to drop them. One, two. This one has to be easier. Three. Let's get the last one. Be careful of the rubber gasket behind there. You're not going to want to tear that O-ring gasket up because you're going to need it. That's it. Just comes right off. Old throttle body. Old small little throttle body. This is the gasket you're going to want to try to be careful with. You don't want to cut it or tear it. You're going to want to inspect it to make sure it's not cut or tore or got chunks missing out of it or all cracked up, because if not, you're going to have problems. Let's take the box, open it up. Got your warranty card, your instructions, and all your necessary pieces to install it. Just set them off to the side. Yep, gives you your detailed instructions. Pretty easy process. Take your gasket out. Here is a spacer. And what this spacer does is it's tapered. See, it's wider out here than it is on over here. I don't know if you can actually see the taper on camera, but when you get it, you'll be able to tell. What this does is it helps to take the 90mm throttle body size, because this is a little smaller than 90mm, unless you have a different intake. And what you're going to need is to make sure you put it on, wrong way. You're going to want to put it to where the wider side is facing your new throttle body and the tapered side is facing your intake. So that way it helps channel the air through there nice and smooth without having like a crazy transition where it hits this edge and gets caught up. All right, so let's get these bags. And you got some new bolts. They're probably a little longer. You're gonna need to use these if you're using that spacer. Now, if your intake opening is bigger than in this intake opening, and it's more closer to the size of your new throttle body, you probably won't need to use that spacer. And in that case, you're probably going to want to use your old throttle body bolts to reattach it. But since we are going to use the spacer, we're going to use the supplied screws because they're a little bit longer, and that way it makes up for the gap in the spacer. And you got a little wire harness also to change it over from the flat style to a more oval, which is exactly what I'm betting the throttle body is. There we go. That. Bag off to the side. We're gonna put that stock throttle body so you can see the difference. Yeah, good bit bigger. I think fits right inside of there. I would suggest probably attaching the harness first. So that way that's out the way and just, you know, one less thing you got to try to put on while it's down in place. Now, like I was saying, it's important how these gaskets go on. So you're going to want this gasket to go on the throttle body itself, because you don't need a gasket behind that because you have the rubber O-rings. What you need is you need a gasket, then you need the spacer, and make sure you put it on the correct way. You want the wider side facing your throttle body and the more narrow side, the tapered side, to go towards the intake. So let's put these on. Drop a screw up in there to keep it in place. All of them so it helps hold it all together. Box off to the side. Give me some more room. Now, also, these bolts are a little bit bigger. They're not 8mm like the stock ones. These are 10mm. So make sure you have a 10mm socket. Set it down in there. Make sure your wire harness is off out the way, not getting caught behind it. Make sure there's nothing else getting caught behind it. And I would suggest set it up against it and get one of these bolts started. So that way you can make sure everything's situated like it's supposed to. And then start another one. Now you don't want to tighten it too much. You still want to be able to wiggle the throttle body so you can get these bottom screws lined up and not cross-threaded or anything. Just wiggle it around and kind of, if they feel like they're getting tight, then back it off. Because it should not get tight. They should turn nice and smooth, just like this. Once you get all your bolts started, then I would recommend coming back and hand tightening them. Just snugging them down so everything's drawn in where it's supposed to be, and make sure everything fits nice and good and there's nothing trapped caught behind it that'll keep it from fully seating against the intake. Basically, you just hand tighten them down. Really easy. All hand tightened pretty good. And you're gonna put the ratchet back on. Just snug it down. You don't wanna tighten them up crazy. Because again, with this plastic intake, them little metal, not exactly sure, the little metal plugs that go in there that these bolts thread into, you can mess them up if you over tighten it. So once you get it hand tightened, just give it a little bit. Really don't use no force at all. And I'm gonna crisscross. I'm gonna go from up top and then come down to this one. So that way I'm not pinching it this way or that way. I'm gonna pull it down tight this way and then tight that way. And these two should almost be able to be done by hand. That's tight. Okay. That's tight. That's tight. All you really want to do is just trying to, that rubber gasket back there, you're just trying to squish it up against that spacer so that way everything's sealed. Really don't want them too tight. All right, and then now we can plug our harness back up. So they give you an extra couple inches, it's like 5 or 6 inches of harness to go along with the already. best way for me to do this is probably going to be to plug it up and let it sit up here so it doesn't get caught up in the fan. Or another alternative would be to zip tie it or somehow secure it to one of these hoses or one of these harnesses down there. So I think that'll do fine just like that though. That'll keep it out. And then you're gonna wanna snap your little red safety clip down too. So that way you don't gotta worry about nothing coming back off. And now you're ready to put your intake back on. Now, again, it may be a little tight, but this intake, it's set up where this connector should fit perfect on there. Yep, sits right on. Now, I would connect all your other hoses and lines back up so that way you still have movement of this. If you got to move it around, I would wait to tighten that down. So, let's put this back on. You want to push it in until you hear that click. That click means it's locked in, and I'm going to push this one on. And you hear that click. That's how you know it's not going to come back off. Now we'll reach down here, get your last airflow sensor, put that back in. Don't forget to put your safety clip down, because that'll keep it from working itself back off. And make sure everything's nice and tight up on there. And tighten your clamp up. Get your screwdriver or your 8mm. I'm going to use an 8mm for that. To be secure, I don't want it to come back off. But you could use a screwdriver as well. Make sure your clamp and everything's on there real good before you tighten it down. There you go. Little tug, make sure it's not going to wiggle itself loose. That's it. You don't need to crank it down too much, because again, you're just trying to hold that rubber connector on. Everything looks good here. Now we can reattach our negative battery terminal and put our cover back on. Let's see how it fits in its new home. Yep, it's right in there. Perfect. All right. Put your little snap locks back down. Make sure it's not going to rattle around on you. Things down. Let's hook up the battery. And that pretty much is it. All right. You're good to go. Everything is done. Intake 2 is secured. Everything's plugged up. That's it.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the C&L 90mm throttle body for 2011 to 2014 Mustang GTs. Thank you for watching, and as always, for everything Mustang, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.